Welcome to the School of Love, the place where miracles are normal. Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel, the School of Love. My name is Maria, and I am helping people discover their inner potential for love towards oneself and towards the others. From the very beginning, I must emphasize the fact that this YouTube channel is separate from my activities as a teacher and researcher at Hiroshima University. It is nevertheless part of my efforts, joy, and sense of gratitude towards contributing to the propagation and implementation of knowledge and information on a larger scale than the limited space and time of being a teacher in Japan. If you are new to the channel, at this moment I would like to ask you to please consider subscribing, sharing, liking, commenting. Thank you very, very much. This helps us not only with the mysterious algorithm which seems to dominate the YouTube galaxy, but also with contributing to the expansion of the community of humans doing their best to impact positively the world and those around them by discovering their authentic selves and living life wholeheartedly. Thanks again. With that being said, let's delve into today's topic, which refers to the necessity of empathy and how to develop empathy as a practical skill. So not so much a hard skill or a soft skill, but actually an existential skill which will help you improve your life tremendously and which will help you help others around you improve their lives as well. This is already the second episode on empathy, on the importance of empathy in itself, and on the importance of developing empathy as a very important skill and tool in everyday life, both privately and professionally. I will start with a short definition of what empathy is, and then I'll deliver the 10 guidelines which have been proved to be very helpful in my own journey towards becoming a more complex and a more complete human being, both on an individual scale and when taken in the context of the larger community and society I am belonging to. So empathy is the ability to feel what other people are feeling, to put yourself into the proverbial shoes of someone else. Generally speaking, there are two types of empathy. The first one, which is less common for reasons which I'm going to outline very briefly, is called cognitive empathy and refers to the ability to understand and conceptualize intellectually what other people might be feeling, either as a reaction to something that is being told or happening to them, or just in a very specific context. It is often said that cognitive empathy is a skill developed by narcissists who proverbially lack empathy. So they can imagine, they can think, they can conceptualize what someone is feeling, but they do not really feel it. So in doing so, they can actually trigger specific emotions which in someone else so that they can instrumentalize them to their own benefit. The second category of empathy is the more common and the one employed or developed by healthy people in the society, and this is emotional empathy. And this is actually what I mean and what larger segments of the population, the healthy ones, actually mean through empathy, the ability to feel what other people are feeling, and then to show them that you are feeling what they're feeling, and simply to sit with them. In a later episode, I will explain the difference between empathy and compassion, which is a step further in the journey of self-awareness and developing self-awareness, because it implies not only feeling what other people are feeling, but also possessing and developing healthy boundaries so that one is not carried away by the positive or negative emotions of others. So that each of us develop as a complete, complex and healthy individuals, which then in turn leads to the build-up, to the development of a healthy, complex, complete, social, composed of healthy individuals. So, what is the first step in developing empathy, emotional empathy, as a healthy skill? So the first step is to understand the importance of awareness. So what does awareness mean? Awareness is the ability to look around you and to ask yourself questions related to what is happening around you, and not so much about what, how, where, when, who, and so on, but rather, why is it happening? Why do we live in the world we live in? What is the reason? So this is actually an indirect why question. What is the reason that we're here? Why were you born? Why were we born? Why are we living? Why we will part someday? So developing this sense of awareness related to the importance of awareness, of asking questions and then looking for answers to those questions, is the first step into moving towards a sense of self-awareness, which is that, then again, it must be developed. So once you develop self-awareness, you understand the importance of awareness, and then you understand the importance of self-awareness, of your own unique, specific, clearly defined position in the world, you won't be so much a victim of history or a victim of what is happening to you, or of those around you. But you will be very solid and very stable in yourself, which is fundamental for creating a healthy sense of self. And self-awareness, again, it refers to this ability to ask questions, particularly why questions. So you see, it's kind of we can learn from 5-year-old or 4-year-old children, kids, toddlers who continuously ask the why questions. And then you'll see that while you develop self-awareness and you delve more deeply, increasingly, into your own sense of who you are, who you might become, and eventually who you are becoming, then you will start to sense the spirit of time, or what Germans call Zeitgeist. Why is it important? Because at the same time with sensing the spirit of time and understanding the waves, the tendencies, the streams which surround you, you will not only gain stability, but also you will learn to be flexible. So stability and flexibility are two of the most important, mental, emotional skills, which must continuously be developed. While we are growing old, our brain loses its plasticity if we do not train it, if we do not engage it in various activities. And this is what therefore later on, subsequently, leads to this stability and flexibility being the two of the major characteristics, features of a healthy individual. And once you start to sense the spirit of time, once you start to situate yourself, to position yourself within your time, you will slowly start to understand that the world moves according to specific values. And the values, well, this is number 4, these specific values are actually quite immutable. This means immovable. This means they do not change. What changes is that these specific values modify their position on the hierarchy of values, and this hierarchy of values changes according to historical period of times. This is number 5. Number 5 is identify the values within their specific historical and geographical hierarchy. So it was for hundreds of years, for millennia, for instance, community and belonging to a community and developing this sense of community was fundamental for the survival of the individual and therefore for the survival of the species. As we move towards the end of the 19th century and then 20th century and nowadays the 21st century, individualism is rampant. And it's not necessarily a bad development, it's just, it is a development and we cannot deny it. It would be foolish, equally foolish to resisting social media, resisting the network society, resisting this all-encompassing virtual world which is continuously surrounding us. So instead of resisting it, criticizing it, and complaining that it is robbing away our lives, we actually have to learn to live with it. And not only to learn of it, to live with it, which would be rather a reactive act of adaptation, but rather to predict it and to become co-creators of our own lives. So after you have gone through these 5 steps, so developing a sense of awareness of your surroundings, historical, geographical, and then of self-awareness, and the third step, to learn to sense the spirit of time, and in connection to this spirit of time, the position of the values in their specific historical and geographical hierarchy. The next step, number 6, is to go and watch a movie. It doesn't matter which movie, a new one or an older one, a movie you like, a movie you don't like, a movie someone recommended to you, a movie you have already seen before, doesn't matter. You go and watch a movie, and number 7 is identify your favorite character and ask yourself why you feel some sort of connection with that character. Important is to remember that this doesn't have to be the main character. It has to be some sort of character. For instance, when I watched the movie Encanto, I immediately identified with the older sister, who was essentially the ideal child in a deeply dysfunctional family constellation. And like the other characters were kind of funny or kind of, I would feel what they were feeling, but the one I really felt attracted to and I identified very strongly with it was the elder sister. And then actually I could fully understand her motivation and her daily activities and the way she was behaving, while other people would say, well, but she's not really healthy, like she's the typical people pleaser, the typical ideal perfectionist who's actually extracting her sense of self from the validation of others and from being of service to others. And this is true. So what does this say about me? Exactly, this is what you're going to need to analyze for yourself. So identify your favorite character in the character constellation of that specific movie and ask yourself why you feel some sort of connection with this character, and be honest. You can write down in a journal, you can record yourself, you can paint something, but it's very important to be brutally honest. Why exactly you identify yourself with this particular character? And then, in an 8th step, you will identify the main characteristics of that specific character. And this refers to its strength, its weaknesses, what makes it unique, what makes it memorable, what makes it familiar. And when you do this process of immersing yourself into the character, into the structure of the character, into the inner dynamics of the character, suddenly you will discover your own inner strata, your own inner layers of emotionality and potentially of vulnerabilities. And I'm talking plural because usually we all have some, well, not necessarily unhealed wounds, but some scars. Some scars we would rather not see, because simply seeing it, simply becoming aware, self-aware of them, would trigger a flood of, well, painful memories usually. Painful memories of painful experiences which we haven't really recovered from, we haven't really processed. But if you do this by means of a fictional character, you'll observe that those wounds, those pains are not so acute, actually. There is some sort of, I'm not a psychologist, but I think it's called transference or sublimation, and it's a combination of both, so that you do not force yourself to identify with those features, with those characteristics, but by observing them in someone else or in a fictional character, you actually learn and start to make peace with them and to accept them as part of who you are, the beautiful, unique human being. And then, as number 9, you will see you'll essentially transition seamlessly into a state of perceiving things without judgment. And not only perceiving things, but also perceiving the others without judgment, which then will lead to the next step of gradually being more open to listen to others than to talk about yourself. And this, my friend, is a superpower. Unfortunately, I have discovered it quite late in my life, but listening more than you talk and listening without judgment, observing things without getting involved, but accepting them as they are, not only things, but also humans, events, adventures, anything that is coming your way, accepting them as such without judgment. This is a huge superpower. And you'll become both empathetic, but also stable in your own inner structure, and at the same time flexible enough to see the world through the eyes of a child who is wondering himself or herself and asking the others around him or her continuously why. And this is a very serene state of being. So, thank you for listening to me today, and I'm looking forward to welcoming you here back again very soon. Love and peace to you all.